This is Fam Electric Ghost, and we're live on the air with CR Srikanth for the first time. You're the creator of VS Pop, an orchestral thinking process, and you're a US based composer and producer, blending Western classical and Indian classical traditions with modern cinematic pop. So, welcome to the Fam Electric Ghost podcast. How you doing this morning?
Good, namaste, and yeah, good morning to everyone. Yeah, I'm doing good. Preparing for a concert in URI, University of Rhode Island, which is on 25th. Doing a lot of rehearsals these days. Yeah.
That's cool. So you're Berklee trained, you're ASCAP member, you got over 250 original pieces of work. And like I said, you like the bridge, bridge, like Indian classical tradition with Western classical and modern cinematic pop. We can talk about what that means for you. And then we're going to talk about like today's digital music landscape and orchestral and like organic instruments and maybe like what the dynamics are in that in this kind of world where a lot of people just do things in the box
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
versus doing things like with live instrumentation and orchestras and actual people playing instruments.
Yeah. So basically, what I generally think is music is same for me. So it's a different language. I speak two different languages. One is my mother tongue, and one is my English. One is English, which I use it as a professional language. I'm based out of India, and I speak fluently my native fluently two to three languages. So that includes my native as well as here the national language for here national language, Hindi, and yeah, and of course, the English is a professional language. So what I feel is, see, music is anyhow the music is another language which is added recently to me, and to me, there is no difference between Western or Indian classical music. Basically, I treat them both as same. The
Mhm.
only thing in the Western classical music is completely architectural, and it's a framework. So Western music is completely framework, like you do orchestrations, counterpoints, like you have a lot of music theory in it, and a lot of the emotions and all actually which comes architecturally. And if you take Indian classical music, it's a little bit microtonal,
Mhm.
and mostly the microtonal is like, for example, you go for example, if you take in Western classical scale like C major, so it goes with ascending notes and descending notes and all, basically. So with this C major scale in Indian classical music, you can at least compose 72 types of ragas with the same C major scale. So again, so because you have a microtonal capability in the Indian classical structure, but that said, the transformation is quite possible between these two six. I'm trying to weave the transformation gap. I'm trying to weave these two basically, and trying to put everything in my orchestral score. If you see my scores, a lot of scores actually, so they are based out of the microtonal, and it's completely based out of Western classical structure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
this is the score which I am preparing for my recital at the University of Rhode Island. So yeah.
So, how long when you were a child did you know you wanted to be a musician or somebody who writes music, or is that something that came later in life?
Yeah, at the age of 8, I started learning music because of due to my grandparents' force, and I used to do it in a very playful way. Like I used to skip the class, bunk the class, and I don't have real interest, but I don't know how it developed. Since 8 to 13, I was a little bit playful, but I used to play veena very fluently. Veena is the instrument which is a very prominent instrument in a musical instrument in South India,
Mhm.
and it sounds like something like kind of a hollowed guitar style
Okay.
rhythm. Yeah, it's a string based instrument basically. And yeah, So I learned that actually. So whenever I started playing, I think that I started playing Veena, learning Veena, and learning Veena. It subconsciously sat in my mind, and after 13 years, I have a different challenges in my life and study and all. Actually, in India, like a lot of people, they means they leave the hobby, or they leave their actual passion
Passion,
for
yeah.
education. Yeah, for passion for education. So I also took the same step, but I don't know, like at the age of 24, after finishing my post graduation in computer applications, I went to one meditation center where they played Beethoven for relaxation. There is a musical cassette at that time. There are CDs, but this is particularly the tape record. So they played Beethoven for Alice actually. So I saw that the cassette pamphlet and all everything. So I somehow got inclined towards that Beethoven for Alice and started exploring. Like yes, I have some knowledge on music, and this is connecting me very well. And I could able to means I could able to emulate the sounds, and that is keep on ringing me in my mind whenever whatever I do the task, and that sounds keep on ringing me.
Hmm.
So I started collecting a lot of Beethoven, Frederick Chopin, Mozart, Haydn, and uh, um, um, Tchaikovsky. I don't know how to spell Tvak. Yeah, so these collections I have a lot of. I have almost I have tons and tons of CDs at my home,
Yeah,
and I
it seems
used
like
to.
you're really drawn to the classical. Like
Yes,
that really speaks to you.
yes, yeah. It's more over the classical orientation I have basically, and I never got fascinated to kind of pop kind
Pop
thing.
music.
Yeah, but I like pop songs because I used to listen to my Michael Jackson
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot. Yeah, and because so his thinking, Michael Jackson's sound designing and thinking, actually really fascinates me. And this orchestral is completely like the classical is completely in my blood. So
Yeah. But the
that's
thing
how
about
I am.
classical, I think I used to I was watching a documentary with George Martin from the Beatles, right? And he was saying that he introduced the idea of a sound painting to the Beatles because
Yeah,
the Beatles were like a rock band, right? So then they said, well, what they were working with Peter Sellers on these comedy records, and these comedy albums had all this layering. They'd have
yeah,
like they'd have like orchestral stuff. They'd have background noises, backward tape looping. He said, "What if we took the studio and acted like it was an instrument, and took the idea of, the boys, the lads, when they play in Berlin, it's a four-piece band, right? But if you
yeah,
go in the studio, you could layer so you could end up having as many voices as an orchestra." So
yeah.
I've always been very interested in progressive rock and fusion jazz and modal jazz and things where you could experiment with tones, where you can
Yeah.
experiment with sounds, kind of invert sounds. I'm a synthesist. I deal with waveforms. I actually spend a
Oh,
lot of time building sounds from a Moog modular and
oh,
spend
really?
2 hours
Yeah.
building the sound before I even use it.
Oh,
Um,
okay. That's
so
great to hear.
that's why I've always been interested in the idea that like music can speak to you in cinematic ways, in
Yeah.
pictures, in stories. Do
Yeah.
you like to tell stories with your orchestral pieces?
Yes, a lot of see. Actually, so I'll just explain like how I start composing my music, and the orchestral thinking basically. So how I layer my tracks and how I design my sounds and all. Actually, so if you I think if you're interested, we can start that
Yeah,
topic. Yeah. So basically, I it comes basically it's a spontaneous thing. I don't force like I have this idea. I need to write like this. If I
yeah,
see some situation, I write like this. No, no, no. It's a daily activity. It's a morning daily activity. So if I think of something, some sounds ring my brain basically. So I start putting it in the sheet music because sheet music is the easiest way to write a music for me.
Hmm.
Rather than putting it in the instrument, I forget it. Like for example, if I program it in some kind of a keyboard or something like that,
Or
I'll
DAW.
forget quickly. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
forget quickly. So sheet music gives me the complete the freedom to write the ideas, or to script it, and to write something, at least to write something. And from there, yes, I heard this sound and I wanted to do the similar kind of sound, and this is ringing me in my brain. Yes, I want to develop this. So this is the first idea generation which I get normally. And after that, now I'll come. So for example, if I think of some orchestral thinking, so for example, if I wanted to make it as an orchestral score, I'll take an orchestral template from the Torico or Finale, and I'll try to weave all the sounds. And the majorly the counterpoints I use for each instruments I wanted to I use I don't take a specific species counterpoint, but I wanted to produce a contrasting sound between between the each instruments, because it shows the live and it shows the reality between the characters. So each character can be treated as an each instrument basically. So that's how I weave the counterpoints basically.
Well, it's
And when
interesting.
you,
Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, it's interesting when your layer sounds is like a lot of times like in music we deal with like shadow vocals or like with Moogs, like they're monophonic. So it
Yeah,
means you're gonna do one note at a time. So sometimes to actually build up a Moog on a multi-track, you actually go track by track, entering tones on separate
yes,
tracks, right?
yes,
And you might change the waveform, sine wave, square wave, triangle wave.
yeah,
You
exactly. So
might play with yeah, so to build up the overall picture would be like if you were holding like a big chord. If you're doing two chords, but you actually individually recorded them like they're separate instruments. And so then you get this kind of big it's like Phil Spector type stuff.
yeah, exactly. So you got it actually. So yeah. So as you said, like the layering is a very challenging part for me, because I'm not a sound designer by design like you.
Mhm.
I'm just my level is only up to the orchestral thinking, and I put it all the orchestral score in my sheet. Then I'll seek help from Omnisphere. Hey
Mhm.
Omnisphere, please help me. Please help me. I wanted to
Yeah,
produce.
that's the technical. I was kind of waving to the technical because, like today, there's so many tools. Where there's
Yeah,
generative AI, there's the DAW, there's all these plugins, right? There's
yeah.
like, and there's real instruments. It's like real. So do you kind of use whatever tool fits what you're trying to do?
I generally use only two tools. First is Omnisphere, and the orchestral libraries of obviously, like the Spitfire orchestral BBC
Mhm.
libraries, which I use normally for orchestral layering, and for dramatic I use British Drama Kit or something like that. But majorly Omnisphere is key for me, because I can't produce the dynamics and the synthesizing part. I'm confident. I
Yeah.
can layer, I can give I can work on the synthesizing part, but the dynamics, the textures, and all, actually, I take a lot of VST help basically.
Okay.
Because see, so it has to completely, what do you call, like fit to my uh, the music which I wanted to produce. So if you add some kind of toning, coloring, and toning, and everything, I'll get the freedom from Omnisphere, as well as some the orchestral libraries which I use basically. But yeah, that's it actually. So I'm not completely dependent on the other VST libraries. There are many things in market actually. I don't go, and only the DAW I use is Nuendo. That is because it gives me freedom to produce the sounds and modulate and emulate the sounds, whichever whatever the way I can.
Mhm.
Because if I wanted the Doppler effect, I wanted to produce a Doppler effect, I can use Nuendo freely, compared to Logic Pro and other softwares
Yeah,
basically. So yeah.
it's interesting because like I like to play with a lot of MPE versus MIDI um,
Yeah,
because there's a lot of alternative input mechanisms now that have like full polyphony, they have full expression, and so like with your synthesis, right? And you're trying to do a horn section. Well, I actually played woodwinds. Like I know how to play a sax, I know how to play. So I know I want to trill something, or I want to be able to do something that you would do with the mouthpiece, and you have to try to get that to work. And some some implementations they don't give you enough dynamics so that
Yes.
you can actually get that woodwind to sound like somebody's actually playing a woodwind. So that's why I like to play with alternative like input mechanisms that allow you to go into every little aspect. Like if you can go to tune in a piano, you play with the lid, you play with the strings, you tune each string of the piano, you play with the lid height, you play with all these different things. You're like so when you can play with everything possible, then you can have more dynamics. And dynamics are the whole thing in music, right? Because that's how you actually get across your message.
Yeah, that's how I spend a lot of time to learn everything daily, 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 daily. Today, I have to learn this, I have to learn that, I have to learn this. So that's keep me busy every day. So, yeah.
Yeah, if the thing about it, like every instrument, how does that person approach it versus a string instrument versus a wind instrument versus percussive instruments? Pianos are percussive. So like if you have to think like how are you gonna approach like
Yeah,
that?
so yeah, so if it is a piano score, actually I go with the counterpoints I told you, like the voice based. So voice one, voice two, voice three, voice four. So three and voice four, I put it in the bass clef, and voice one and voice two, I put it in the treble clef, and try to I wanted to do a kind of experiment and the counterpoints. So most of my scores are based on counterpoints, because it's not that I am mastering counterpoints, but I what I wanted to do is I wanted to produce a different set of I want a realistic kind of listening sounds, basically. So for example,
Mhm.
you're doing some activity in your mind, it should ring in your mind. So just like in at the age of 24, how I it ringed in my mind, and I could able to uh, what do you call means what do you call how to say that in English, I don't know, but like you murmur that sound, is murmur that sound, do something, do your work or something like that, right? So for example, some people sings and work, like the folk based thinking people, they generally works in fields and all. They something sings and work, right? So, they do some sort of singing while they're
Yeah, like
harvesting
scatting.
and all. Yeah.
Yeah, like Tom Petty was famous for like not actually knowing his vocals.
Mm,
He would
yeah.
just kind of scat the song. He
Yeah.
would scat it like a jazz thing and just kind of make up like just voicings, right? There aren't words, but it's the melody. But he
Yeah,
hadn't
it's a
picked the
melody.
words.
Yeah.
He hadn't picked the words yet, but he got them. He knew the melody, but he didn't know what the words should be.
You
And so
hum the song, you
he could
hum the
kind of hum it
melody.
or scat
Yeah.
it or just vocalize it. And a lot of like Michael Jackson was famous for
Yes.
composing a lot of his stuff by vocalizing what he wanted the parts to be. He vocalized the drums, vocalized the piano, vocalized the string, and actually tell Quincy Jones what he wanted.
Yeah, incidentally, it's the same process. I don't know. I really don't know how Michael Jackson thinks, but yeah, incidentally, it's the same thing. I wanted to do something this with piano, and I wanted to. So that's my approach, basically. So the choice of instruments is completely. It depends upon the mood and the emotion which I drop. For example, if I'm thinking something deep in that, I think of the Doppler kind of strings, which slowly comes into my mind and slowly releases. The tension gets released slowly, right? So
Mhm.
when you encounter that set of thinking, so I'll go with an orchestral layering. So if
Okay.
it is a normal kind of a daily kind of thinking, then I'll go with the piano score sheets, basically. And brass winds and all, actually, when I go to some kind of the for example, I stay in Rhode Island. If I see some sort of there is a popular area called Newport, if you
Mhm.
heard about. So it's a kind of jazzy environment there completely.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's there's a lot of, yeah. So it depends upon the mood, emotion,
yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, the ambience and
It's kind of like a jazz
the
fusion. Like what jazz fusion, like fusion jazz band has a
yeah,
composition, but it will evolve based on how they feel, how the guys feel that day, what the room's like, what the crowd's like. They have a structure, but
yeah,
they might go off based on what they feel like, right?
yeah,
And so that it's kind of like a download from the universe. If they feel one thing this day, they're gonna play that. Like Weather Report has a composition. Coltrane, they have compositions. Davis, they had compositions, but they would evolve them. If you listen to the live albums, they're different. right?
Yeah.
How they interpret their pieces, they would change based on how they felt or what was
Yes.
going on.
That's exactly, yeah. So, and yeah, as you correctly rightly pointed out, like so this is what actually the thought process as well. So the approach to the instrument is differently completely upon the ambience and the mood and the emotions basically. So that's how. So as I told you, like in the beginning itself, like I don't treat music as a different element in my life.
Mhm.
So I don't sit for a composition or something like that. It should come naturally.
Kind
It
of
should
finds
ping
you.
me naturally.
It
Yeah.
finds you.
Yeah.
Sometimes the compositions, like I used to remember, like Hendrix was famous for saying, like he was like
Yes.
recording with the Isley Brothers one day, and then suddenly he just went and did something that didn't match the song, and they said, "What are you doing?" They said, "Well, the universe gave me this, and I couldn't help but not put it down." And they were like, "What?" It's like because it's like he was like, "I'm getting a download from the universe." He used to talk like in these kind of hippie kind of universal ideas, but he would always say was like, "It's speaking to me. Something's
Yeah.
like coming to me," and he just was like it would channel through him. And there's a lot of musicians that will kind of be able to tap into that. They say, "Hey, I kind of channel what's going on," you know.
Yeah, and I heard one guitarist actually. Sorry, I forgot the name, but I like his philosophy. Like what he said is, when my hand and guitar started playing, I leave my brain aside so that
Hmm.
they will do their own job. When my brain intervenes, and then it will spoil.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I like
Because
that
sometimes
shit.
the logic brain will kind of wreck things. Because like
Yeah,
when you're in the studio, right, and you're doing like 100 takes,
yeah,
right, you find out that the fourth take or the third take is closer to what you really wanted, but you
yeah,
were somehow trying to go for perfection. Like the closer to the earlier take is closer to what you really wanted to do. Right.
exactly.
That's what I usually find is like the earlier takes, I'm like, I don't care if there's imperfections. I don't care if it's not perfect. It's actually better to take the earlier ones because
Yeah.
it's closer to what you were trying to do.
Yeah. That's how, that's yeah, that's how actually. So yeah, even I don't think about perfection first, because perfection is not a job which I'm making music right now today. So it's all the emotions which I wanted to which is there, which is left in my brain. I just wanted to put it as in musical form. That's it. Simple. It is as simple as that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people I think some of the tools today can kind of mess you up because like I'm a child of the 70s and I still have a lot of multi tracks, a lot of like like analog type recording equipment. And what I like with that is that you're kind of forced to deal with what you physically could play,
Mm-hmm.
right? And your limitations. Sometimes limitations in music actually spur a lot of good ideas. But sometimes if you have unlimited capacity, all you have too many choices, then you get overwhelmed. There's too much noise. So I think sometimes if you're limited in what this instrument is capable of doing, right? And then
Yeah.
you don't try if you go on the net, then you can keep on changing that thing and make it whatever, right? But
Yeah.
if you have a physical Les Paul or a Fender Strat, or a really nice, like, baritone sax.
Yeah.
I It's not an alto,
Yeah.
right?
It's not an alto. Yeah.
That's what it is, and so, like, you have to deal within the constraint of what it is.
Yeah. So is French horn is another typical instrument actually. So French horn. So you have only very limited set of notes to notate basically. So you have to play within that set of notes. And I just wanted to ask you one question regarding the analog recording, because I was never into analog recording process. So how this analog records is a little bit different from the digital age. I just wanted to understand from you if you have.
Well, like an analog recorder, right? It's using tape, right?
Mhm.
And it can multi-track. I had like a 4 and I had an 8 track,
Mhm.
right? So you're limited to whatever it can do. It can only do 4 or 8. Maybe you can, but what happens is like you had to go in
Mhm.
and physically play the length of your song for track 1. So if
Mhm.
I go in and I'm playing bass and my song's 4 minutes long, I'm playing bass for 4 minutes. Then I go back and maybe I'll put the drums on it. Then I'll go back, put the keyboard on it. and you can't really sync it other than you have a click track. You might have a click track, but
Okay.
there's no way to actually fix it with a quantize it. You can't quantize
Okay.
it. You can't fix it. It's kind of what you're limited to how good a musician you are.
Okay. Yeah. So you have a lot of leverages in modern digital music, like quantizing, wrapping.
Yeah, you can't do any of that. But you can go after the fact and start splicing the tape. So
Okay.
people would go and take the tape and actually take razors and cut them and then can try to move them around to get them better. And then they would make choices like, oh, they then becomes like a dog. It's like, well, I'm going to move this part to this part. Then they would
Okay.
move things around by moving the tape around.
Lucky that I'm born in this digital age. Otherwise, my thought process would definitely screwed up the analog thinking.
Yeah, but sometimes the analog was good because it's kind of a happy accident.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a happy accident, then you could go with it, and you're kind of limited. It's like, oh, that's what I did, so let's work with that instead of going back and hitting the undo,
Yeah.
redo.
I saw the recording of this Good, Bad, Ugly, the orchestral layering, actually. The Good, Bad, Ugly, the cowboy film, if you remember, actually. It's a video that's abundant in YouTube as well. So I saw the orchestral layering, the baritones playing and all, actually. So what I saw is it should be a near perfection. Otherwise, the sound will get screwed.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. You have to be close, but like what I found is like a lot of famous recordings, like especially they think about like the Rolling Stones, the way Keith Richards plays. A lot of people would say he plays a little off time.
Yeah.
Right? There's certain musicians that play a little off, like Coltrane is very dissonant, like in his choices of notes. This kind of goes off normal scales. It plays with tones, plays with dissonance, plays with discordance, plays with little tones that might be a little jarring. But when people do that, the fact that it's not perfect, the fact that it's a little off time, it's a
Mhm.
little off camber, right? That sometimes is the point.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, and actually, have another question. Actually, I wanted to ask you. So, I don't know whether I'm doing an interview for you, but I'm sorry that I have another thing.
Yeah,
For example, if you the sound layering and all, actually, is it completely in analog? Is it tape based? Like how
yeah,
you
it's all
layer
tape
it?
based. I mean, in the analog world, if you're using like an analog equipment and analog tape, like it's all, you know, it's like it's whatever, like you're playing with the acoustic instruments, you're micing them, like
Mm-hmm.
you're micing the guitars, you're micing the drums, right? You're even micing the pianos, right? So you have mics on the pianos picking up the sounds. You might be picking up stuff directly from like quarter-inch cables going
Mm-hmm.
into mixer boards, and you might have processors like Neve processors and things, but you have physical Neve processors. You have everything is physical. So all the processors are not digital; they're analog. It's kind of like 1974, 1982. It's like everything, nothing's digital.
Yeah.
Everything is physical hardware.
Yeah.
So even all your processing, your vocal processors, all your effects are all physical effects. So
Yeah. All the
it sounds
follow.
different. It has in some of it, you know, it's not you can't correct it as much. I mean, the engineers can go and correct as much as they can by playing with the tape and cutting
So,
things, moving
but
around.
analog signs are analog. What I observed is actually, so I used to listen the contemporary music as well as the old music as well. Means the vintage music, like vintage classicals as well. So the recording in the analog has less disturbance than the digital sounds.
Mm,
We have to accept that fact basically. And the analog sounds has the accurate precision because we need to play with an accurate precision to get the clean sounds. So in digital you have a certain bit of leverage, like you can it can some it can produce some attenuations, and that attenuation can be treated as a sound, a different sound, and
yeah,
produces a different kind of bram effects and all, actually, basically. So
yeah. You have a lot more control over digital, right?
yeah.
In terms of, but you do have control over analog because you can run it like the engineer
Yeah.
can take something and run it through different processors. They could change the speed of the tape. They can
Yeah.
speed it up, they can slow it down. So, but it's all physically doing it. So there's not there's the things they can do, but it's harder to
Yeah.
do, right? And then it sounds different because you're going through mechanical devices
Yes,
or you're
mechanical.
going through transistors, not digital stuff, right? So the
Mhm.
transistors sound different. Like
Yes.
when you go through transistor based stuff, like an old Moog, like a mini Moog or a Model 55 or ARPs, like any of those old analog synths, they don't sound like a DX7. They don't sound like a Juno. I mean,
Mhm.
they don't sound like modern digital synths. They actually have like they have to warm up. They take like 20 minutes to warm up the transistors. If you play them when they're not warmed up, they sound different.
Okay.
The oscillators will move around, so it sounds more organic because
Okay.
they're not perfect. They actually are imperfect, and because they're imperfect, that you can use them to that effect. And sometimes some people like myself, we like the fact that they're imperfect.
Yeah. And I try to use this emulator and synclavier actually. So in a lot of my compositions, when I try to
Well,
pop songs,
that's a nice machine. Yeah,
yeah, but that is digital versions I use normally
yeah, it's
because
a wavetable type of machine, but
yeah,
it has a lot of capability.
yeah,
Like wavetable synths, or that's a really cool form of digital synths. Like I use a lot of subtractive stuff, and then there's like Buchla additive synths, like the Buchla like synths are different. Yeah, there's like if you use Buchla's additive synthesis versus subtractive,
yeah.
and subtractive synthesis is totally different. We can go down a rabbit hole, but
So Michael Jackson, Smooth Criminal. So I saw like I was really fascinated like how they produced the song from a synclavier
yeah,
used
that's
in.
a cool machine. Yeah.
Yeah, so that actually that see and that I'm get fascinated. See, it's all collective things actually which went into my brain, and just I'm just trying to do whatever that I have in my brain. So
Yeah,
that's it.
because you have this idea of VS pop. So what does VS pop mean?
So good that actually we brought this point after the discussion we had on the analog and the digital synthesizing process. I would say uh, it's a kind of similar thing, but we put it in a different bottle. So old wine in a different bottle. So if you see this classical score sheet which I written
Hmm.
now, in few days this will become a pop song.
Oh, you can change it.
so,
You gotta morph
so
it. You gotta morph it.
So you should ask me like how you do that. That's how the orchestral layering comes into the picture basically. So I take these motifs from this score sheet which I wrote, and I try to put it in a template of pop song.
Oh yeah, you change the dynamic. Well, yeah, you can take anything and switch it.
Yes, and so the advantage I get is I don't use a standard chord progressions at all in my song. I never used a standard chord progression 145, 1561, 245,
Yeah,
two
you
five
just
one.
yeah.
I never used that one. It's all my classical music speaks
Oh, you
and
using that? Yeah,
under the influence of pop song. That's it.
that's interesting because like progressive rock is different than regular rock or pop. Like bands like Yes or Genesis and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, they use classical concepts in
Yes.
pop music, and so they had pieces that had movements. Like
Yep.
Yes has like 18-minute songs, 20-minute songs, 30-minute songs, and they have movements.
Yep.
And
It's
a
a
lot of
movement.
these progressive bands have time signature changes, key changes, rhythm changes, totally. Some of them are just completely different songs put into a movement structure.
Yes, it's the same thing. Actually, I changed the dynamics of the score sheet completely to get fit into the pop format, and the signature changes I do, and I add an extra counterpoints if required. Not I normally I don't change the counterpoints actually, but sometimes like for example reggaeton we call it as reggaeton
Yeah, yeah.
needs a different types of Phrygian techniques actually. So if you go in a C minor, it needs some kind of micro tuning like a Phrygian mode or something like that.
Hmm.
For that, actually, I do some tweaks to the existing score.
That's interesting how
So
you like to morph things. Because I
yes,
think what's cool about music is when people mix genres. Like genre mixing to me is super important because
Yes.
there's some people that like to stay in the lane. Like if you talk to a blues guy, they play blues until they're not here. Right? They Delta blues. That's it. They won't go outside of it. When outside of the pentatonic scale, that's it. They're just totally in it. They won't get out of it. But how they do it is their own point of view. They got their own personal, Buddy Guy versus Lead Belly, like all those guys. They have their own signature, but they're still within the framework. I
Yeah.
like it when people actually, mix frameworks.
Yeah, and so I heard a lot of comments outside. So, for example, 60% is a negative feedback, and 40% is 30% is a positive feedback, and 10% is a neutral, near neutral kind of feedback. But generally, I don't want to change my mindset because of that. Maybe take some time to and Jason from Submit Hub, he's a promoter basically, so I work with him normally on promoting the tracks and all. He in his email, actually, I wrote, he wrote, your sounds are avant-garde, it takes some time for to digest, so we'll have to wait. I'm okay. I sound avant-garde, that's fine, it's okay for me.
Oh yeah, because it's kind of like law of attraction. You put
Yeah.
something out there, right? Now it might not speak to everybody, but it
Yeah.
speaks to somebody, right? And when you find the people it speaks to, then that's your
If it
tribe.
finds the right people, yes, exactly. If it finds the right people, then it's my experiment is successful. I don't really means I don't say that I don't care anybody, but the thing is, what I wanted to produce, if connects to someone, it's okay. That's good.
Yeah, because the thing is, like when you're on the cutting edge, when
Yeah,
you first put something out, everybody will say, "Well, that's not right." Right? Like Hendrix, like when he put feedback on tape, the engineer said you can't put that on tape
yeah,
because they were told that you can't have feedback on tape, right? But he pushed and said this is actually supposed to be there. And so when you
yes,
start to push the envelope of what's acceptable or what is outside the canon,
yeah,
then that becomes a problem because like the first people push outside the canon, everybody's like Miles Davis pushed outside the canon. He was
yeah.
bebop and then he went fusion. And the people say, well, that's not jazz. So there's people today that still say fusion's not jazz. That's
Okay.
fine because well, it doesn't speak to you.
Yeah. So yeah, so same set of thinking. I don't think so you see if it is successful or it is immaterial to me because I don't bank on success. I don't want to be a popular artist by overnight and all. Actually, I just think my thinking. If it connects someone, that's okay. Fine. That's it.
Yeah, well, slow and steady wins the race.
Yes.
If you stay true to your own vibes, right?
Yes, that's the awesome statement. Yeah, even I believe the same philosophy. If I stand with this, then let the negative force come, but the positive will be there. Actually,
Yeah, because I think it's like you don't know where some the thing I always worry. Well, I always tell artists they get scared, right? They get all this stuff. I talk to painters. I go to their loft. They have all these paintings. Like, well, how come they're not in the gallery? You're like, oh, because they're not ready. Like, how do you know they're not ready? Right? You need to go try. You can't just leave them in your room. You got to put it out in the world.
yeah. So yeah, that's my thinking. Yeah.
So, film and TV composition. How much of your work do you actually do with like film and TV composition, and how is that different than other types of music that you do?
Okay. Film and TV composition. I took a course from Berkeley, but I never composed for a film or TV. But I do have samples which because I keep it for myself basically. I'll tell you the incident which I had when I'm taking the course basically. So I did a kind of experiment in with Berkeley because I took a course for some odd dollars, some $7. I wanted to do a composition and film music course in from Berkeley. I wanted a certificate from it or the completion part of it. What I did is I presented all my sheet music and designed and composed the scenes there.
Oh,
and
Mm.
compose the scenes. And the Berkeley instructor was really fascinated with the kind of work which I did, because I'm using my own sheet music to compose the emotional scenes as well.
Mm.
So he got really fascinated and graded me A grade in the this one. Then that gave me confidence to build BS Pop. Basically, yes, I could able to do my own sheet music, to compose a film or to compose scenes from a film or a the serials. So why can't I write a pop song? So
Mm.
I collaborated with one of my one of my friend brother from Brazil. So he writes the lyrical. He takes
Oh,
the
he does the
load of
vocals.
writing lyrical works and all, actually, because my language doesn't really impress. Means because the English language, I'm not a native English speaker, so the emotions and all I could able to only produce in my
You
native
can able to
language.
convey it the way the other guy can. Yeah, that's
So he helps me writing the songs and we work together and yes, film and TV composition I never worked on any films or
yeah. It's
but
interesting.
yes,
Yeah.
but the only thing is, I learned a lot from Berkeley. So this is how we
Hmm.
can experiment the sounds. This is how we can layer the sounds. This is how we can use the modern digital instruments or modern sounding techniques, like the as I explained you, like Doppler effect and all, actually, and the majorly the sound designing techniques like the dynamics, basically the gain and the equalizer, the perfect use of frequency equalizers, wavetables and all. Actually, I
Yeah.
learned it from
You know
Berkeley.
about that. Yeah, I play with a lot of filters and oscillators and
Yeah,
envelope
filters and
generator.
oscillators, yes.
Yeah, envelope
And the
generators.
flangers and actually, yeah.
It's interesting, like the workflow, like when you start playing with like building a sound from scratch. Like in a workflow on a synthesizer, you have the oscillator, and you have the filter, and the envelopes, and then you have like effects you can add to them. It's interesting, like you can take like low frequency oscillators and have it manipulate other things. So I like a lot of controlled voltage workflows because you could break the workflow.
Yeah, you can break the workflow.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
can actually change the order in which you do
Yeah,
something. You can have like an oscillator trigger and the filter. You can go
yeah.
backwards, you can go forward, you can invert, you can revert, invert, convert, whatever, do negative
Yes.
inputs. And so what's cool is what I like to play with is just LFOs that go for like 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And then they trigger things. And then you have them
Yeah.
triggering all these things in the workflow, and then you have these evolving sounds that are
Mhm.
just kind of coming up and down and vibrating and oscillating in different frequencies, and they trigger like patterns that could be like not what you can try to engineer what you want, but you kind of take what it gives you, and then it's kind of like this idea of like the space between the notes.
So
Like,
what sort of wavetables you use to use in
well, I'm
normally for
actually using
composing a
Moog.
film?
I'm using Moog oscillators. Like,
Mhm.
so I
Okay.
use Moog synthesizers. I've got multiple Moogs that I trigger into each other.
Okay.
So I'll have an oscillator from one Moog triggering an LFO and another Moog going into an envelope on a third Moog, and then
Okay.
taking the output of all that and then mixing it at different levels to get different sounds coming through. And
Have
it's
you
all
ever
kind of
tried?
syncopated by clocks. So it's running clocks
Oh
to
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of tighten.
Have you ever tried the pizzicato violins, pizzicato, the cello sound of pizzicato? Try to put it in a wave oscillator, and you try to do a different experiment with that. You know
Well,
how basically
yeah,
how it sounds basically.
yeah, you can. Well, you can run. I run digital sounds into analog equipment.
Yeah.
So you could take like I have a one synth that does have wavetables, but then I'll run it through a CP3 mixer on a Moog,
Mm,
or
okay.
run it through like a Dave Smith Prophet 5 filter.
Oh, okay.
So
Mhm.
take a digital sound from a wavetable and then run it through an analog filter, whether it's an Oberheim or a Prophet or a Moog or an ARP, and you get different results by playing with the mixture of digital and analog. And I
And
find that super interesting what you can do.
and how do you make use of the pads basically? Because I work a lot of because when I lay an orchestral music, because I compose all the, I
Yeah,
apply
pads.
all the instruments and all actually. So the synth pads and the lead pads, there are string pads, there are
Yeah, yeah.
different categories of pads. So in my orchestral workflow, I keep a separate section for pads
You would
because
keep it all
pads,
yeah, different
yeah,
tab. Yeah, I run
yeah,
tracks. Like I keep my pads on different tracks.
yeah.
Let's say if I have a 16 track
Mm-hmm.
song. So, in there, I might have multiple pads. They're kind
Mm-hmm.
of building on each other. They might be in different keys, right? They might be really swelling up. Some of them might be very low,
Mm-hmm.
kind of very in the background, and over time they might come up. So, like a lot of times, it's like you might have evolving pads. So they evolve over time. Sometimes they come up, sometimes they come down. They could swirl around. You could have them playing with the stereo field. You could have
Mm-hmm.
them coming like left and right,
Mm-hmm.
coming through the speakers at different times, different things coming through. So it's kind of like, yeah, like if you're thinking like a sound painting,
Mm-hmm.
you're painting a picture and you're trying to convey something, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's gonna come in like the way an orchestra comes in to
Okay.
make a point. You're trying to make a point with that pad, right?
Okay.
And you can make different points with different pads.
And I like the way actually I like doing a orchestral swarming basically.
Hmm.
Means the
Yeah, pads work.
ostinato
Yeah.
based patterns basically, ostinato based swarming with the variations, with the pulsative variations basically. So I like to do that kind of experiment, and most of my film scoring actually is focused on that. So swarming with pulsations and with the Nastinado patterns basically. So that I'll use pads for that purpose, and rest are orchestral sounds. I don't blend much. I used to take the means violin to violin, brass
Mhm.
to brass, French horn to French horn, the clarinet to clarinet. So I don't disturb that pattern, but only this alternate these patterns, this swarming and all. Actually, I use pads. And yeah, I use a different sound techniques basically. I use a different sort of wave tables. Sometimes I use synclavier, sometimes I use Juno and all actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes, like, well, I have like a Juno, Roland Juno. Then sometimes you can take a lead,
Yeah.
right, and turn it into a pad. You can
Yes,
take a pad and turn it into a lead.
exactly. Yes.
And so I'll play with like something in that song. I may take the pad, where at some point I convert it to a lead and
Yes.
have the lead coming in, and it's got a similar tone, but it's turned into a lead. So you kind of use that. You can play
If
with
you
it.
get a chance, you can listen to one of means I'll just I don't know how can I share it to you, but you can listen to the track which I did. It's a 13 minutes track. It's completely, you don't feel it's a kind of different sounding actually. So
Hmm.
it's all based upon orchestral sheet which I made.
That's cool. Is it on your Spotify?
That's in the YouTube.
It's on
Uh,
YouTube.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe send me the link on the private chat and I can check it out.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I just think it's cool. 'Cause I do have your Spotify up there, and I'm actually gonna swap out the code here because I actually have a code for you. And I'm gonna so now if people want to check out your Spotify. So the QR code I just put up is for the Spotify I have on the screen because that's kind of hard to put in. But if people scan that QR code, they actually go to your Spotify artist log so people can check out your music.
Hmm. Thank you.
And so, yeah, I think it's super cool when you give like the thing I always like about when I talk to artists is like I ask people like, what gave you like the permission structure to believe that you could put your work into the world? Because there are some people that do stuff but they never share it, right? They're so scared to share their work.
Mhm.
What made you feel like you got to a point where you could share your work?
Berkeley gave me that confidence.
That's what did it.
Otherwise, I was also shy. I couldn't able to share. And if I share something, definitely, no, 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 this is not my sound. Berkeley
Mm.
gave me that confidence how to produce my sounds in a different way. and how to emulate it in a different way. Yeah, that learning is really good actually. So yeah, and a lot of people don't understand what I speak basically. So if I speak something, because you are a master in sound designer, you understand like what I'm trying to say, explain.
Yeah, yeah,
You're a
yeah. I
master sound designer. Yeah.
But I think it's really cool. I like to hear different people, right? Some people like to hear the same thing. There's a lot of people they like something, they stick with it. I've always been a kind of person. I like multiple genres. I listen to like everything. Punk rock, classical music, like experimental music. Like my collection's all over the map. Like I've got like everything. Like they literally like everything. So
So you just maintained a library like me, like this is Josh section, this is
yeah, I have the jazz section. I got the world music section. I got my reggae section. Got my folk section. Listening to Dylan, listen to Johnny Cash, listen to hip hop, listen to rap, listen to like everything. Like, and people will say, "Well, which one you like?" I said, "Well, it depends on the day. I don't know. Why
you
I
know.
might be into the Clash one day, and next day I'm into Sun Ra. I don't know. I don't know. It's like I like everything.
Yeah, I have a collection of around 1,000 CDs and cassettes actually still with me. I don't know what to do. I want to donate it to library, but yeah.
Well, I think it's really important because people understand like every musician has always been a fan even
Yes.
before they were a musician, and they grew up like listening to their influences, right? And no matter what you do, your influences subconsciously come through, right?
Yes.
But it's
That's important. Yes.
yeah, it's like how you do it, right? Like like I might have I love like Sun Ra, I love Funkadelic. People
Mhm.
hear my music and they say, "Well, I kind of hear that, but I'm not copying it. I'm influenced by it." You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you are influenced by it, and definitely that's how actually I believe. Yeah, that's the same philosophy. I am getting influenced by it. Don't expect the same sound to be produced by me. That's not me. So if you want a same sound, go to Beethoven for less, or
Yeah,
go to
yeah. You
Beethoven.
can
Yeah,
always just go to Chopin and listen to Chopin, listen to Bach, listen to whatever you go, listen to
yeah,
Tosca. Like, but I think every musician is like they have their palette, right? And they
yeah,
have what gave them like chills. Like what made you like, wow,
yes.
that's why I want to be a musician, right? So then he's like, I gotta find that inside of me to bring that out.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So yeah, thinking thinking takes a key role here basically. So it's not that we wanted to manipulate the inspirations which we have, but it's we wanted to present it in a different way. That's the key.
Yeah. Well, we have our own voice and we have a vision. Like you have your
Yes.
VS pop, you have this kind of blending of orchestral, Western, and Indian thinking, and it comes through you when you do your work, and when people hear you, there's like you have a signature sound. Like I think every musician has a signature sound. When
Yes.
usually you hear it, it's like, whoa, wow, well that's VS pop, and so or that's what you're doing, and that's what you want. I think today there's so many people they clone and copy,
Yeah,
and it's
that's a
like
bad thing actually. So cloning and copying, taking a template, working on a template, doing a standard chord progressions, and doing emulating the same sounds, whatever because it has become a formulaic, which I don't like it actually. Yeah,
yeah, this it gets boring to me because like if I go to a concert
yeah,
and the song sounds exactly what was on the record, I might as well leave because I didn't go there to hear it exactly the way you put it down, right? I actually when you play live, I want to hear the dynamics of that live performance. Just like if I go to a play and I
okay.
see that actor, I could go 2 days in a row and he's gonna do those lines a little differently. And actually, that's what I wanna see.
It's really you can see the goosebumps so rising for me. I don't think actually I'll find another person like me, but you are just like me. Your thinking is just like me. Yeah, it's good. So
I think people are getting tired of the formula,
yeah, formula.
because like could be pop music is kind of getting a bad name today. Because if I go back and look at pop music in 1968
Hmm.
or 1974. And
Even
I
till
go,
the era of Michael Jackson. Yeah.
yeah, even the 80s, right? And you look at what's like 1982, 83, 84. Look at the top 20,
Hmm.
put it
Yeah.
out, and then look at all those songs. Then take the top 20 today and say, will these songs hold up like those? I don't think so.
Exactly.
I don't
Exactly.
think so.
I don't think so. They're near match to the songs which we heard in our childhood or in our past.
Yeah, I'm just sorry. It's like you look at those lists and you pick them. It's like they're all good.
Yeah.
All of them are good.
And they have content in it actually. So and that's of its kind actually. So it's not like today's. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that they it used to be that the people in the business,
Mhm.
like Frank Zappa used to say, that that in the record industry, some of the executives said, "Well, I don't get it, I don't understand it, but like maybe the kids understand it."
Yeah.
And Zappa said that's cool. But
Yeah.
it's like, well, when these guys started coming in thinking they did understand it, when they don't, then they started to ruin it. And Frank Zappa had all these like recordings of him kind of railing against the industry and how it's not allowing the best to come through,
Yeah.
right? Because like they just think they know more than they do.
Yeah. And there is in India actually. In India, there is one saying actually: you reap today for yield fruits for your children. So that's how it was. So
Yeah.
you reap today, not to eat for today, not for you. It's for your future generations. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's real important to just like let artists be, let them happen and don't try to like manufacture like
Hmm. Yeah.
fake things, which I think like I'm a tech guy. Like I do like software design.
Hmm.
I know we're living in an age of generative AI. And I've played with some generative AI triggering some of my workflow, but I use it to trigger stuff.
Even I'm a
I,
tech guy.
I don't use it to write my stuff.
Yeah.
I use like prompt engineering to maybe trigger my oscillator, right?
Hmm.
But I don't have it write what's coming out of my oscillator, right? It just might trigger different variations faster than I could. So I do it to do something. I use it as a tool, right?
Yes, you
But if
use it as a
you use it,
tool. Yes,
yeah, if
definitely.
you use it to write your whole thing, then I'm kind of like, I don't think so.
Yeah. So even I'm a tech guy. I work with an enterprise softwares basically. So yeah, I design not the software architecture for the systems.
Yeah, I'm a BSA. I'm a business system analyst. I help with like the UI and
Hmm.
the actual business
I,
requirement, use case, that type of
I,
stuff. But yeah, I just
I,
think it's good to have the left brain, right brain.
yeah, yeah. That's right. It's a cerebral way to call it. I'm into SAP basically. So SAP ERP. So since
But
20
cool.
years, I was doing the same job. Maybe that thinking also gave rise to this sort of sound designing and all.
Yeah, because I like music is like math.
Yes, exactly.
Music has a structure. Now, it's a lot of passion in music, and you can try to get it to be a formula because that's what people try to do.
Yeah.
Because you can't. Because it's like it's like algebra. It's like math. It's like you can figure out the formula. You can figure out the patterns. You can try to replicate the patterns. But a lot of it is magic, and the
Yes, it's a
magic,
magic.
yeah,
Yeah.
the magic and the kind of unknown pattern or
Hmm.
unexpected pattern.
Yep.
Your algorithm's not going to find.
Yeah. It's a stochastic pattern. Like we call it as basically stochastic things.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's true.
Yeah.
But I want to let you know we're at the close of the show, but I gotta let people know about the QR code. And people can get to your Spotify. We encourage people to click on to scan that QR code. We also have your Instagram on there. People can check you out there at your Instagram site. That will be fully clickable. We've been live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Kick. We will be on Spotify video podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon, many other platforms, Newsly. And I want to thank you for being on the podcast today. It's been a great conversation. So I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. You too. It's a
Thank
nice
you.
conversation. And thanks a lot for inviting me to the show.
Thank you.